Going on, everybody? What is going on? The catch. Fam, I hope everyone's doing fantastic. Hope you guys are looking forward to a great weekend. We have got a lot to get into tonight. Wild ending to the Packers-Eagles game. Was not able to stream last night, so we can still go over some reactions from the Chiefs-Ravens game. A lot of fantasy impact between these first two games of the season, a lot that you guys are going to want to go over. So you guys know what it is. Any fantasy football questions for week one that you guys have, start, sits, trades, waivers, anything at all, roster reviews, starting lineups, whatever you guys need, any format, any fantasy football questions, welcome in the chat. So get in here. Let's have some fun. Let's talk some fantasy football tonight. Okay, so I guess my initial plan was to just go through all of the Packers and Eagles players, and we'll just kind of go from there. Because obviously we'll just start with Jordan Love. Okay, so Jordan Love, 17.4 fantasy points, 34 passing attempts, 17 completions, 260 passing yards, 2 tutties, and an interception. But then with 6 seconds left in the game, Jordan Love goes down with a lower leg injury. We don't really have details here. If you guys are getting details, please put them in the chat. But didn't look great for Jordan Love. Not necessarily doomed. We don't have like news of a season-ending injury or anything here. But this could be anything from cramping to a serious leg injury. It does, the reports as of right now, I believe from what I've seen at least, are that we are going to see Jordan Love dealing with a lower leg injury. So definitely not good. Definitely the last way that you would want the Packers to have to end this game after we saw a ton of offensive fireworks from both teams in this matchup. So hopefully Jordan Love is okay. I think Jordan Love could have an MVP caliber type season. We've loved Jordan Love throughout the offseason, so definitely hope he's okay. And of course, this is going to have drastic fantasy impacts either way, because right now the QB2 on the Packers is Malik Willis. We'll see what happens. Hopefully, Jordan Love is okay. Josh Jacobs came out of this matchup with 12.4 fantasy points in full PPR. So Josh Jacobs still hit double digits in this game. But, man, he didn't look necessarily great. He did finish with 5.25 yards per carry, added 2 receptions, had a fumble, no touchdowns. But Jacobs got you through if you did end up starting him tonight, which most of you guys probably did. Jaden Reed absolutely lit up this performance. Oh, my goodness. Just a monster day, 33.1 fantasy points for Jaden Reed. This is going to be really tough to break down here because we don't really know what's going on with Jordan Love. But for now, Jaden Reed, I think the dynamic kind of play that he has, what he brings to the table, probably going to have to be a must start. And I do believe Jaden Reed, where you drafted him, was probably a must start player caliber guy anyways going into this matchup. Christian Watson, a player that I specifically loved going into this week. I expected a higher ceiling out of Christian Watson in this matchup. The thesis was right here. This Eagles secondary still really struggled. And but really just Jaden Reed took like everything away here. So Christian Watson still scored a touchdown, but just 5 targets, 3 receptions, 13 receiving yards, 10 fantasy points. So good enough, but still a disappointing performance. For me, for Christian Watson, I expected a higher ceiling. Romeo Doubs still showed that he is, part of this offense. 7 targets, 4 receptions, 50 receiving yards, 9 fantasy points. Lower ceiling for him too than I expected, but we still, we just saw a very big performance out of Jaden Reed. And then Dontayvion Wicks, I hope nobody started him in deeper formats. I had him as a sit moving into the week, but no fantasy points for Dontayvion Wicks. Now, I will say one interesting thing here is Tucker Kraft had 3 targets, 2 receptions, 37 receiving yards, 5.7 fantasy points, where on the other hand, Luke Musgrave had 0 fantasy points. So I was a Musgrave believer. He had 2 targets, but no catches. So this Packers tight end room may be something we're going to be staying away from for now until we get a clear answer. In terms of the Eagles, you saw just about everything that, we would expect in this game, I think. I don't think anyone was low on the Eagles offense going into this game, but man, they absolutely just lit everything. This is what we want to see out of the Eagles offense on a week in, week out basis. This is why you drafted so much of this offense so high. This is why I begged you guys to draft Saquon Barkley going into this season. I don't know if Saquon Barkley is going to hit this ceiling every single week of the year, but he had 33.2 fantasy points, 109 yards on the ground, 2 touchdowns on the ground, 2 receptions, 23 receiving yards, and a receiving touchdown. Monster night for Saquon Barkley. Jalen Hurts hit 22 fantasy points, perfectly fine. Week in, week out, if you're getting 20 plus fantasy points from your starting quarterback, you are happy. 278 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks, 33 yards on the ground. He had 2 fumbles in this game as well. Pete is in the house.
Jeez, you started instantly, guys. Come on.
Yeah, we hop right into this. A lot to get through here. So I'm going through the Eagles players, and we'll open up the discussion. We got through the Packers. I'll get your reaction to that in a second. But A.J. Brown lit up the night, 22.9 fantasy points, big touchdown grab in this game, 119 receiving yards, and Devonta Smith, still a very good night in PPR, 15.4 fantasy points, 84 receiving yards, 8 targets, 7 receptions. So you got everything you wanted out of this offense. Goddard, if you had to start him, still got you 7 points. He's going to be touchdown dependent. Jahan Dotson, worth noting, 1 target, 0 points. So Eagles did everything we expected. I still think pretty much for the most part, the Packers did everything expected. But of course, like we said, or I just said at the beginning of the stream, J-Lo goes down with that lower leg injury. If you guys are getting reports as things are going on here, let us know, because it's going to be really difficult from a fantasy perspective now. With Reed lighting it up, Watson looking okay, Jacobs was still fine in this game, Dobbs was apparent in this game, but how do we look at this Packers offense if Jordan Love is not playing? With Malik Willis as a QB2, they're going to have to sign someone. We'll just kind of sit back and see what happens. Yes, Vikings fans may be a little happy here, but
only because they cheered when J.J. McCarthy went down. It's the only reason. Karma is real.
For fantasy, this is a disaster, especially with 6 seconds left in the game.
Oof.
Absolute disaster. So, but all right, anything you guys need, the chat's already building up here. So any fantasy football questions, week 1 reactions. I'm not going to break down the Ravens and Chiefs because everyone's already had time to let that settle. But hey, told you guys, do not leave your drafts without one Kansas City Chiefs wide receiver. And we saw that on display last night against what might be still one of the best defenses in the whole league. And Hollywood Brown's not even out there and healthy. Yes, Derrick Henry. Okay, I get it. We'll talk about it. But I think Derrick Henry is going to be fine. If you drafted Mark Andrews, don't freak out here. Yes, Isaiah Likely is going to be one of your top waiver additions. Maybe Justice Hill too. I don't know if Justice Hill is going to get that many targets every single game, but that's my in a nutshell reaction. And Say Flowers, Rasheed Rice. Plenty of good fantasy performances last night, too. All right, David, Disbanded Brotherhood, what's going on? Ghost Hunter, hello. Emil, Mr. Sarcastic. Yeah, 2 great games to start the week.
Yeah.
I think that's what we all expected.
That's what we wanted.
Yeah, glad it actually happened, because sometimes it's get a weird lower scoring matchup. We got lots of points. All right, Josh, start Caleb or Dak. 16 PPR team is Dak, Caleb, A-Chain, Zeke, CD, DJ Moore, and Njoku, Tank Dell. Good starting lineup for a 16-team league. I think the floor is with Dak, the upsides with Caleb Williams. I might kind of lean Caleb Williams at home, believe it or not. I like the Bears this weekend a lot. I don't dislike the Cowboys, but I just think it's difficult because they're on the road against the Browns. So Dak's still okay here. Not out on Dak. If you want to go Caleb, I think there's a bit more upside. All right, David, do you think I have a chance? Check my next comment. Yeah, the Jordan Love couldn't even walk off the field on his own. Should I start the Saints, Bengals, or Hawks? I will go Bengals or Saints, whoever you feel better about. Saints, the better defense. Bengals going up against, believe it or not, a worse offense. Seahawks okay too. All those defenses made the must-start video for the week. So Goddard got more points than Andrews and Kelsey, so I'm surprisingly content. Yeah. The best posts that were going on today were all the posts calling Patrick Mahomes a bum for leading the league in interceptions. So, it's just such a small sample size. I did talk about this throughout the offseason. Like, there's going to be moments throughout the season and probably early on where Kelsey's not as involved because, you got these 3 dynamic wide receivers for the Chiefs now, and like they want to keep Kelsey as healthy as possible going into the playoffs. So that didn't really
He looked like
surprise
he
me.
put on the boyfriend weight, though. He looked a little chonky for me. I wasn't. My
Yeah.
Chiefs friends were not happy with how he looked, this body wise.
Well, I mean, Mahomes has got the dad
He
bod,
plays quarterback.
you
He
know.
plays quarterback though. Kelsey's got to
Yeah.
run against these little DBs. I mean, Kelsey got to run.
Well, I
Mahomes can just
think
kind of shuffle.
too. It's like with Kelsey, it's like just these. He's saying like he wants to play like 2 more seasons after this, and it's like, yeah, at some point we're gonna see him slow down. He's still gonna have those moments, but it's like he just doesn't. There's a lot around him. I mean, like you got Noah Gray, you got other options on this team. Like Kelsey, they want to keep him reserved for the playoffs. But we'll see what happens. And I mean, once again, the Ravens just kind of notoriously good against the tight end position, and the Chiefs was like they just xed Mark Andrews out of this game, but then they met an unlikely duo and Isaiah Likely. So,
But hadn't there been rumors that like that was the move? Like the
yeah,
Ravens were going to Likely and
yeah,
Mark Andrews is kind of on the out. I heard
yeah.
that before we saw it last night.
And also, Andrews has been dealing with an undisclosed injury for like the past week and a half, and he had the car accident. Just weird. Um, but this brings me to my next point. Okay, I want to read this to you guys, and I'm probably going to read this tomorrow and Sunday morning too. This is week 1 of last season fantasy football. Hunter Henry was the tight end 1, finished as a tight end 18. Hayden Hurst was a tight end 2, finished as a tight end 52. Donald Parham was a tight end 3, finished as a tight end 28. Mac Jones was the quarterback 2, finished as QB 31. Tyler Algier was the RB 4, finished as the RB 35. Jacoby Myers was a wide receiver 3, finished as a wide receiver 26. On the other end, Jalen Hurts finished as a QB 15 in week 1 last year, finished the season as a QB 3. AJ Brown was a wide receiver 26. Josh Allen was a quarterback 22. Raheem Mostert was the RB 17. James Cook was the RB 29, and CeeDee Lamb finished as the wide receiver 34 in week 1 last year. All those players except James Cook finished top 6 or higher at their position, where James Cook finished as the RB 11. So it's week 1. It's week 1, guys. Every year I see this. There's going to be really important things that we take away from these first 2 matchups, but it's still week 1. Okay. And there's going to be plenty important things we take away from Sunday's matchup and Monday night's matchup, but we got a long season ahead of us. Okay. So don't overreact. Always try to hammer that into your guys' brains first couple of weeks of the season. But yes, Isaiah Likely is probably your top waiver priority. He looked way too good with the ball in his hands for him to not be involved. Thoughts on Jaden Reed? Is he a must start? Yeah. So we're gonna have to sit back because we don't know what's going on with Jordan Love at the moment that I am speaking, because I don't really check anything while I'm streaming. So I don't know what's at the bottom of the chat, and I don't know if we're gonna get a clear report until at least tomorrow. So we're gonna have to know who the starting quarterback for the Packers is. But Jaden Reed, another guy, looked phenomenal with the ball in his hands tonight, and they were finding ways to get him the ball. Saquon hates me, I'm convinced, says Aiden. Saquon RB2 in the league now. I mean, listen, and this same, even I was super high on Barkley going in this season. You guys know that. Okay, I talked a ton about Barkley. I was aggressive about having Barkley high in rankings. Drafted Barkley early and often early in the offseason. But it's still just one game. I mean, I think Barkley's going to be great this year. I still stand by that. But is he going to hit 33 points every single week?
He should have had more. Okay, can the Eagles get rid of the damn tush push? Hand it to 26. You paid for 26. Give him the ball. They fumbled. They got stopped. It was just give it to Barkley. We could have had 4 touchdowns from a man Saquon, and I could have easily won in fantasy this week in the auction league against J-Dub.
Yeah, I mean, I think the ceiling is just going to be. This was my thesis all off season long. The ceiling's going to be so high for Barkley. They're going to utilize him, and I mean, maybe after what we saw this week, they will utilize him even more towards the goal line. So, RB2 will be interesting to see, but will that surprise me? No. not at all. If Love is out, sell any Packers not named Josh Jacobs. Yeah, we're gonna have to think about it. I don't know. I mean, it's so similar, I think, last year to Aaron Rodgers going down. And like I'll say, like a player like Jaden Reed, Josh Jacobs, you don't need to sell. I mean, you can, I think, with Reed coming off the performance, but like I still think, number one options on teams are still really valuable. It's like, Deontay Johnson, Cortland Sutton, players like that, like they're still going to be solid PPR options, even if they don't have great quarterback play. So I don't want to overreact to the Packers pass catchers yet. The problem is you've got, 3 or 4 dynamic wide receivers, and then they got to fit in with a new quarterback who's really going to see that target share. We're going to sit back and see what happens, but I'm more of a fan of kind of holding on and not overreacting to the situation. I was one of the few people last year who's like, don't trade Garrett Wilson or don't trade him for scraps. Because as soon as Rodgers got hurt, some people were like, trade Wilson for anybody, that you can get. I'm like, he'll still be fine in PPR in the flex. His ceiling is just low.
He was not fine. It was
fine.
It was painful. It was just painful week in and week out.
Well,
just having to play him.
It was sad to see his ceiling lowered, but he still hit double digits every week except for 6 weeks, not including week 18. So, I mean, the ceiling was way lower. But it was like next week at Dallas, he came out and had that. I mean, only had 2 catches. Yeah, they still had 16 fantasy points. He had that huge touchdown. So, and this was like, people are like, trade him for anybody. And people were saying to trade Breece Hall last year too. And I was like, no, don't, So I think we just kind of sit back for the moment is my advice. But if you're getting the right offer, I mean, the right offer, you always got to take. George is hype. I have Saquon and Gibbs. This probably feels good right now. CMC says he's playing week 1. Thank you, sweet Jesus. Yeah, we've had some scary moments with CMC coming up on the injury report officially. And then we'll just have to see what he's going to play. Has always been my state of mind. And in terms of other news from the day outside of the games, we do have T. Higgins popping up. I think I cursed T. Higgins.
Of course, I have T. Higgins in the league. I'm playing you in. Of course, this is not fair. I saw this. I was like, John cursed this. I knew it.
Yeah, I put him in the video for today. I put him on the thumbnail, and next thing I know, someone commented and they were like, I would trade Higgins for a club sandwich right now. And I'm like, yeah, this is my fault. I did this. So this is the T. Higgins experience. Get used to it if you haven't drafted him before in fantasy. All right, David asking if he's going to be fine. He's got Kyler, JT, Kenneth Hill, Marvin, Jaden Daniels versus Love, Pacheco, Monty, Brown, Diggs, Kittle, Flex. Projected 119. He's at 125. Can I win? Yes, you can absolutely still win. We're looking at a 6-point difference, and it's just projections. Always tell you guys, like, after Thursday night matchups where there's a lot of points, like the Seahawks Cowboys game last year, people are coming in like, oh, I faced DK Metcalf or CeeDee Lamb this week. Like, can I win? It's like, yes, of course you can still win. And projections mean absolutely nothing. So your roster's still loaded with talent here. Obviously going up at what feels like a little bit of a disadvantage with, Pacheco having a great game, Brown having a great game, obviously Love still having a good game with about 18 fantasy points, 17 depending on your scoring format, but still a good matchup here, both teams. But yeah, you can absolutely still win. Albert, what's going on? Shane, good game. You had 2 great games to start the season. I have to see you on Reed if Loves ain't playing. Yeah, I know. Yeah. All right. Brian Thomas or Jacoby. I'll probably go B Tom. I like that matchup. Dolphins Jaguars is one of the matchups I have just starred this week. So I think Jacoby Myers okay. They're looking at 2 wide receiver 2s here, but I would I'll lean Brian Thomas. That's like my matchup of the week. Also like the Rams Lions a lot. You also had Andrews in your matchup. Yeah, I mean, there's so many players left here, so many possibilities. I don't even really look at projections or matchups until Sunday night. It's like I mean, look at the Packers Eagles game, for example. Like the offenses weren't really moving in the first quarter. I mean, we didn't have any touchdowns in the first quarter, right? So, um, just there's no point. Like so much can happen in the third and fourth quarter, second quarter. Like so many games are going to be played Sunday. Until Sunday night rolls around and you're like at halftime, that's usually when I'll look at like matchups. Sometimes I don't even look at matchups until Monday night. Um, so yeah, you got time.
Never a doubt. Never a doubt with these offenses tonight. Never a doubt.
I mean, there's just you see so many wild things happen. Like you might be projected 116 and your opponent's projected 125 going into Monday night, and he has Brandon Ayuk, and you're like, you're up by 2, and you're like, I'm screwed. And then Sauce Gardner shuts down Brandon Ayuk. When he has
That's why I'm sitting Brandon Ayuk. This is good. This is perfect. Yeah. Brees Hall goes crazy. Yeah.
Or the opposite. You might need 40 points and you only have Deebo Samuel, and you're like, I lost. And then Deebo has 3 touchdowns. I mean, this is why you play fantasy football. This is why it's fun, So don't freak out too much. Love better be all right. I'll drop his ass in a heartbeat. I mean, yeah. I mean, poor Jordan Love, but this is not a good situation for fantasy managers. I just don't like if this is a season-ending injury. That's some weird like Aaron Rodgers got a voodoo doll or something. Like
good. Yeah, I love it. I love it. This is awesome. I was super pumped. That's really what he gets. Just go down. Game's over. Just take the loss, Jordan. No, I have to do this crazy thing. Flip to Josh Jacobs. Good. This is what you get. Your evil fan base is what happens.
Really will switch up that division too.
Not last place, third place. Place.
It'll be really interesting. Start Burrow or chance it with Caleb. I think beginning of the week I'd say Burrow for sure, but is Higgins gonna play? Is Chase gonna play? I mean, I'm worried. I went into this week like I'm starting the Bengals everywhere, everybody. I don't really know. I don't expect Burrow to have a bad game, even if both those guys don't play still, but I don't feel as good. So I would just kind of sit back for now. If we get word that Chase and Higgins play or one or the other, I probably still start Burrow. But like I said earlier in the stream, I think Caleb Williams, nice upside this week. I don't expect like a super high ceiling, but I like Caleb to be a solid start this week. So I don't know about the Bengals right now. They're kind of freaking me out.
Yeah, I think I'm off them in the death pool.
Yeah.
I might be switching my pick. I kind of want to pick the Giants just on principle. So either way, I'm okay. If the Vikings win, I'll be happy. If we lose, I'll be like, whatever. But yeah, Bengals scare me. I like Chase Brown. Chase Brown might be a really interesting play this week, I think.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to need more receiving work out of the backfield. So I think you're right. But I might go Caleb here. Never had it so good. Bummed about Higgins. Looked like a smash. Replace him. I'd start Godwin here for sure. Not even close.
Mm-hmm. Safe. He's
Barkley's
true number 2.
Bit me in the past. Higgins taking his turn. I mean, you just got to get the Higgins injury out early this year, I guess, is what the Bengals want to do. I'm super bummed. I was really high on Higgins this week and starting to really like him, into the draft season as ADP. But yeah, Godwin against Washington secondary, must start player. So you at least have a great option. Love still sat with his team on the bench. He doesn't go in the tenor locker room or anything. I didn't even see that. I mean, honestly, from a fantasy football perspective, we don't want anyone getting hurt. So we'll see what happens. Do you like Marshawn Lawrence as a pickup? I didn't think Jacob looked very good on several drives. Yeah, I mean, he definitely looked a little bit stale. But he still had over 5 yards per carry, which is not bad by any stretch. So we know that the Eagles, although this secondary once again just looks like hot garbage, but they have depth up front. Go ahead.
There was okay, like Quinion Mitchell, I think looked really good. 27,
Yeah.
their rookie corner out of Toledo, but multiple plays. I mean, like there were guys running wide open, and it was like, what are we doing, Philly? What is going? Like, come on! I agree. It's very sus at like 3 of the 4 positions back there.
But we know that they have depth up front, right? I mean,
Front 7 looked
so
really good.
the fact that he still had 5.2 yards per carry, I'm okay with. I mean, he's never done that in a full season. I mean, when he had that RB3 years, 4.86 yards per carry, which is just one game. So, but that might give you a little bit perspective. 10 yards per catch. Fumble's not good. I do agree. He looked dry, but I also do think like I don't know. I think this Brazil game is a really weird place for these players to start week 1.
The field was awful,
Yeah,
awful field.
yeah. I'm not totally surprised that someone got hurt here, but I will say Emmanuel Wilson on his 4 touches looked good. 11.5 yards per carry, 46 yards. He had 3 targets, 2 receptions as well. So that's kind of what makes me a little bit nervous about Marshawn Lloyd because I do think Lloyd is more talented, but Emmanuel Wilson showed that he can fill in nicely. So it's kind of a weird handcuff situation, but I still think Jacobs is the guy for sure. Like I think you're really looking for a Jacobs injury. So I mean, I just don't know. Marshawn Lloyd's going to be the true handcuff is kind of the issue. I mean, if you're thin enough at running back, then it's fine, but that's about where I'm at. All right, let's see. Kels, what's going on? Ghost Hunter already seeing Eagles fans cheering that he went down. It didn't even really like were
Who
they
would
even gonna
ever
win the game? Like
who would ever do that? Who would ever cheer a player getting hurt on an
yeah,
opposing team?
yeah,
Couldn't imagine.
yeah. We'll edit that part of the stream out. Uh Aaron Reborn, what's up, man? Long time no see. Good to have you in the house as always, man. Welcome to the 2024 season. Philly got my Dirty Birds next week. We got a little bird matchup next week.
So the
All right.
Falcons 0-2? Question mark.
Ooh.
Just no 0-2.
Oh, that's a good pivot point here. Justin Fields expected to start for the Steelers on Sunday. Russell, dangerous, Wilson, on the injury report, and is now not expected to play. I mean, I don't think this is like a crazy impact. But it is an impact nonetheless.
His career is over unless Justin
Yeah.
Fields is the worst quarterback in the history of quarterbacks.
Which I don't know.
Could happen.
And
This is definitely on the table.
I will say there's kind of conflicting reports here. Some reports just saying that Russell Wilson's questionable.
That's
Then
what I
some,
saw.
yeah, then some saying he's not expected to play, and Justin Fields is expected to play. So, this is gonna be really interesting because I think this is gonna come down to like the wire. I think that's a 1:00 game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's gonna be like a game time decision. So, and I think you're right. Like Russ has got to try and play and be out there, or else his career could definitely be over. So I mean, this doesn't have a huge impact. I think for me, like I think it's you're probably only starting the Steelers running backs Pickens or Fryermuth, and like you weren't expecting a super high ceiling because Russell Wilson's playing anyway. So I would actually, kudos to Russ. I think he got done dirty last year, but I'd like to see Justin Fields play. Just, I think I don't know. We'll see.
It's a little better for fantasy.
Yeah. Chase is not going to lie. I may have been sleeping on Barkley. I tried.
I mean, I got Saquon. I have every Eagles share. I have Jake Elliott. I have Devontae Smith. I have AJ Brown. I have Saquon Barkley. I don't have Jalen Hurts, who was easily the worst Eagles player tonight from a fantasy standpoint.
And still had 21 fantasy points. Like,
and he looked terrible. Terrible. He looked
a little frozen a couple of times towards the goal line, but threw
That
some
last
threw some wild
interception was
picks. Yeah.
yeah, that last interception was like, yo, come on, come
Yeah.
on.
Would you start Atlanta's defense over the Steelers? Absolutely. Yeah. I like the Falcons defense way more. They've had some good offseason moves. Um, they weren't an awful defense last year. They're at home, and then you're either getting Russ or Fields out there, so you can expect a turnover, either way. Um, and I just think they're in a good. I think the Falcons gonna have a good. I went into this matchup initially a little bit more neutral, but I really think this point in the week, I think the Falcons gonna have a good day, both sides of the ball.
Mm.
Henry and Love didn't give me the fantasy or the start to fantasy I was looking for, but I won't panic, especially not on Henry. Yeah, I mean, Jordan Love is still fine. Like, depends on your scoring format, but 17, 18 fantasy points is still perfectly fine out of a quarterback. I mean, CJ Stroud averaged 18 fantasy points a game last year. Um, but with Derrick Henry, and we can kind of talk about some of the Ravens Chiefs stuff. Um, I'm not gonna panic on Henry. I think the biggest takeaway and the thing that a lot of people like didn't take into consideration going into this matchup was that the Chiefs defense is a really good defense and a really well coached defense. And people are kind of treating them like they're not, and that the Ravens defense was which the Ravens defense still great last year. But so last year the Chiefs were top 10 against opposing running backs in fantasy football. They were top 2 against opposing wide receivers in fantasy football. In terms, I don't have what they were against tight ends right in front of me, or quarterbacks, unfortunately, but I'm sure that those marks weren't bad either. But really, I mean, we're primarily looking at wide receivers and running backs anyways. And like I said, number 5 against wide receivers last year, number 9 against running backs. So I don't think a lot of people really were, considering that the Chiefs might have a good defensive day. But in terms of this game, yeah, I'm not gonna panic on Derrick Henry either. I'm not really allowed to. It's like one of my most drafted players, but Justice Hill definitely getting the receiving work here. And then, I mean, we do have Keaton Mitchell potentially coming back at some point too. But I just don't know if, and Justice Hill, I mean, one of my most drafted running backs in Underdog, one of my favorite handcuffs. And the coaches talked about that early in the offseason. Like, Justice Hill is basically going to be a starter this year. But um, I don't know if he's going to see that passing volume every game. He had 8 targets. So it's just, and I don't know if Lamar Jackson's going to rush for over 120 yards every single game, but both those things are very doable. So, I'm just not going to panic on Derrick Henry. The positive thing was he saw like all the goal line work, which is really the thesis on Derrick Henry this year. Like, he's going to rush for touchdowns. So still had double digit fantasy points, but yeah, the ceiling we might want to maybe be concerned about. But
It just looked really awkward in that
it
offense.
it it did.
Henry.
And like, yeah, if it wasn't for Lamar Jackson, like this game may have been a blowout. But Lamar Jackson, the MVP caliber performance in this game. Just
Except for the last throw,
sure,
to last throw of the game.
sure.
Yeah, right? Like,
Why does Lamar do that? Why does he freeze? Like, I mean, I'm like
because
that
I heard
that
a
w-
great comparison this morning on ESPN. Like, I shouldn't be watching. I saw the clip. I don't watch ESPN. Don't put that on me. Ryan Clark was like, he's Russell Westbrook. Like, he does all the flashy stuff, but in like the big moments, he gets the pressure just kind of gets to him. He makes bad decisions, turns the ball over. Where Patrick Mahomes is the opposite. He's not necessarily super flashy all the time, but when it's the end of the game, he is lights out.
yeah, that I mean, he was kind of on the move, but the throw to
He missed the wrong direction. Like, I thought, like, it was one of those, like, Zay Flowers stopped and then started
I know,
again, and
yeah,
Lamar threw it where he was standing, and he was running a drag the entire time.
I thought that too when I first saw it. I was like, what did Zay just do? um, especially from a fantasy standpoint, because I have a lot of shares of Zay Flowers, but and he still had double digits, but at the same time, I was like, that would have been the icing on the cake. But then you look back and it's like, oh, Lamar overthrew or threw to the wrong direction. And that drove me crazy. The first missed touchdown to Likely, uh, if the ball had gone out sooner, probably would have scored, but it was still like, defender was there. And then the Zay Flowers one was like inexcusable. And then the last non-touchdown was just like a miracle grab. Isaiah Likely, I thought he was like done for the season. I mean, it really when you rewatch,
we were texting he's
I
dead. And
know
we're like, he's dead.
when you rewatch that and how hard he hit the ground with his arm out, it's like
Yeah, broken
shoulder,
arm, broken
forearm, broken
collarbone.
arm,
Yeah,
yeah.
something.
And then he's just in next play, and then if he was born with smaller feet, the game's tied. So
if he wears white cleats, maybe they miss it. Maybe
yeah,
they call him in.
that's a good point. I really feel like most players should just wear white cleats.
Always wear white cleats.
Yeah,
if you're a receiver.
yeah. But yeah, the Lamar fantasy wise could be quarterback one on the week at 27 points. We'll find out. But Justice Hill's low percentage rostered. Isaiah Likely's low percentage rostered. These are probably guys you're going to chase aggressively on the waiver wire, but I'm just happy because the end of the offseason, I started drafting a lot of Isaiah Likely on Underdog. So, but once
That's
again,
good.
it's week one. It's week one. Don't put all your eggs into one basket. We'll go over the Chiefs players when we get a pause here again. Is it safe to drop Christian Watson? I don't think I would. I don't think I'm going to drop Watson or Reed. And I'm not going to sell Jacobs. Let's just sit back and see what happens. But even with poor quarterback play, at least Jaden Reed's going to still have value. The guy I worry the most about is Romeo Dobbs because his chemistry with Jordan Love is that's part of the main reason why Dobbs has any relevancy. So I'm not going to drop Watson yet. Or I probably wouldn't drop him regardless. Still scored a touchdown, but yeah, I hate things like that. I hate injuries. Do I start Burrow or Stafford? I would start Stafford. Yeah. I'm a little worried about Burrow, as we touched on earlier, but if Chase plays, then sure, you can still start Burrow. I just really like this Lions-Rams matchup. Bad secondaries, points, Goff, Stafford Bowl, part 2, Sunday night, week 1, great wide receivers, Sam Laporta, great running backs. I think Stafford and Goff are both potential must starts this week. So I really went into this week all over Joe Burrow if you drafted him, but I'm just
you're off. You're off Burrow. You're off the Burrow train, it sounds like.
I'm not completely off, but we need at least Chase or Higgins out there for me to feel 100%. It's not like this Patriots defense was awful last year,
I don't know if Jerome Mayo can coach, though. I do
Yeah,
not know. Patriot, some top level Patriot guys are like, I think this is going to be a disaster. They are not feeling the Jerome Mayo.
Yeah, I'm still okay with expecting the Patriots to be bad this weekend. Yeah. But I'm just saying, I don't know. I feel weird about Burrow right now because I just feel like if you don't have Chase or Higgins or both out there, they're going to rely on the run game a lot. Like you said, guys like Chase Brown, they can still get it done for sure. I just fantasy wise, I'm like the ceiling has to be lowered, Thoughts on Devontae Adams? He's probably fine.
We'll see. We got to see how bad the quarterback play is. Yeah. That's it.
We got to see Minshew.
Hold on to him, though, because he might get traded to a team with an awesome quarterback. So Devontae could go from really bad situation the first 5-6 weeks of the season to the best situation towards the end of the season.
Yeah, I'm still okay with Adams. you know, was fine last year when Jimmy G or anyone else was throwing to him. So still top 10 in fantasy. Ceiling's probably lowered, but I think Adams here in week 1 against the Chargers secondary, you drafted him too high. You're still starting him. Run CMC, what's going on? Still feels strong for Seattle's defense. Saints and Falcons are available.
Love the Seahawks. Love the Seahawks defense.
Yeah, I like the Hawks a lot. I like the Saints. I like the Falcons. If you're already rolling with the Hawks, the one thing I try not to do at the end of the week is really overthink kickers and defenses. Just kind of stick with your early gut feeling. Because a lot of the times you're going to end up swapping them and then regretting it. But I do like all 3 options here. But yeah, let's roll with Seattle against Bo Nix in his first NFL start. Cats, what's going on, man? Haven't popped in a while. This is, it's probably Katz's fault for not tuning in, and that's why Jordan Love got hurt.
He's rooting for Jordan Love to get hurt. Yeah. Mr. Lions fan over there.
Yeah,
they just won the division.
Cats, if you continue to miss streams, more guys like T. Higgins are going to have hamstring injuries. So just remember that it's your, duty to watch the streams in terms of the fantasy football community. So
CMC might, that calf could flare up any second.
Yeah. As long as it's not Trevor Lawrence, we'll be okay. Right? I should have drafted Barkley in the first round in leagues. I knew I messed up. Told you so. But hey,
it depends where you drafted. Come on, man. It depends where you drafted. If you drafted in the top 5, you can't draft Barkley.
I never say told you so after week 1, but because I was also, super high on Henry. We just have such a small sample size. But yeah, I mean, Barkley, a guy who I had right up there with Gibbs, so I mean, it's one game, guys. I mean,
yeah, remember the Packers defense is bad. Like, let's chill out a little bit.
It's one game, but Barkley is going to be great this year. I still stand by. Emil says, hit the like button, guys.
Hit the like button.
Too. Drop Downs, McLaughlin, Dowdle. You're not dropping Andre, dude. No more with Chase, and this is your time to shine. That's been your boy all off season. Or Fryermuth to stream a defense. I'm starting Taysom. Downs is out week 1, so sometimes people will just not pay attention. Like, he's not even going to show up on the waivers unless you go through and toggle to where it shows injured players. At least most settings are that way. So I think you can drop Downs if you're comfortable knowing you might not get him back, or at least you can fight for him. It's either him or McLaughlin for me. I would keep the other 3. I mean, the thing that also kind of stood out from today for the Steelers outside of Russell and Danger is the Steelers extended Fryermuth for 4 years. So they're good price for their wide receiver too, with that wide receiver market lighting up. But yeah, Fryermuth's going to be involved. I think he's worth holding on to. Dowdle and Andre Zavis. I'm never going to say his name right, but they're definitely worth holding on to as well. So could watch every second of every stream, and Higgins would still pop a hammy. I mean, yeah.
No. Come on.
Yeah. Thanks. Going with the Seahawks. Roll with the Hawks. Had the 7th pick in my Yahoo league. Yeah, I mean, no one was really drafting Barkley that early. I was pushing for Barkley at the end of the first, definitely the beginning of the second. And there was a point in the offseason where Barkley was going at the end of the second, and Underdog drafts sometimes would last till the middle of the third. But I've been drafting since April or whatever. So
easily maybe March.
Yeah. And I told you guys, Barkley is going to move up. Barkley and Henry are my 2 guys. I always have candidates every year. Those are the 2 guys who, and Pacheco is my other guy, right? So all those guys moved up in ADP. So yeah, it's way too early to start saying, oh, I should have drafted this guy here and this guy there. And even when it's week 15, try not to do that. I mean, it's it is what it is. It's part of the game, right? I have A-Chain. I grab Jalen Wright as a handcuff. Should I keep him? Yeah, definitely. Unless you're just in a position where you need a starting player. Jalen Wright's going to be a great handcuff. He is still rostered in a low amount of leagues right now, so still like Jalen Wright. Absolutely okay with picking him up. Go
I
ahead.
picked him up this week. I picked him up this week too, on waivers.
Yeah, I especially if you own A Chain, I think you can go ahead and roll with him. But I mean, roll with picking up Jalen Wright. So, but yeah, I mean, what a tough night or two for fantasy. We get Higgins popping up. We get Russell Wilson hurt, and now Jordan Love hurt. T. Higgins hamstrings are like those one dark green crappy floss toothpicks. I don't think I've had those. One wrong tooth and it snaps. Jeez. Yeah, I mean, even if Higgins pops up as like he's not even injured.
Yeah, you can't even be like that. Come on.
Yeah.
We have to believe in T. Higgins. Come on. We can't have this
No.
negativity, cats.
Still got to consider I may be injured. Yeah, I'm watching the replay of the Jordan Love injury.
How's it look? Bad? Not good?
Oh, it does look bad. Oh, you really pay attention to the knee. It's spooky.
Yeah. Let me look at it. I'll find it.
Spooky. We'll find out. All right, guys. Quick stream tonight. Just wanted to hop on post Friday night football action here. It's a bit late here. We'll have some content ready for you guys tomorrow. Got you guys locked and loaded all for week one. Content every single day. We'll be running it back next week as well. Content every single day. Oh, you're rewatching it? Yeah, you really.
It like his knee pops out. You see it like pop out. Like oh, it's bad. It's bad. It might be a dislocated knee.
Really pay attention to the knee. That's
here. Can we pull it up? I can pull it up on my stream over here. This is crazy. This is bad.
Yeah, it's not
ideal.
Not good. But you never know. Sometimes you see a really bad replay and it's not as bad as we think. But yeah, I hate this for fantasy, and it makes everything, not to sound, I don't know the word, but it makes everything way more annoying. Like this is just part of the game. Like we're constantly going, but yeah, we'll start to wrap up here. If you guys have any final questions, get them in here. Like I said, all kinds of content out for you guys this week, and we'll be running it back every single week. Yeah, Godwin, a great replacement. This is why I tell you guys too. I was telling you guys throughout the week, like guys like, oh, I have these 2 or 3 wide receivers on my bench and it's a double flex PPR league. Who do I trade? I'm like, don't trade anyone. Yeah, things are going to be very different in 6 weeks. Just
wait, just chill.
Yeah. And yeah, I depth at wide receiver is so important. And God, I'm telling you right now, quarterbacks like Baker Mayfield at home against Washington this week, Matthew Stafford going against the Lions. You're going to see Kirk Cousins, another guy I really like at home this week. You're going to see less quarterbacks on the waiver wire, especially after this Jordan Love issue. Who are the quarterbacks behind Love? Malik Willis.
I can't believe, he couldn't throw the football tonight. Come on. Why did they trade for it? That was a weird trade when it happened.
They were not, I forget their QB2's name. I remember watching him in the preseason.
Pruitt, the rookie, right? Mikal Pruitt out of Tulane.
Not confident in him. I don't know why Malik Willis would be the answer, but have a good night, Aiden. Doesn't look like anything tore, though. Might just be sprain. Yeah, the worst thing I think we can do is speculate because I'll tell you one thing, at least me, I couldn't tell you, I'm not a doctor. But we'll just have to wait and see the injury report and hope for the best. Cause even if it's 6 weeks, that's still better than a full season for fantasy. I don't even know who the third QB is on the Packers, who they went into the season with on their final roster. It was.
It's got to be Pruitt. It's like Willis and the rookie Pruitt, I would bet. If Willis came out for those passes, it's got to be a rookie. It's not a veteran because Willis is bad.
Have Brooks ETN change. I don't know what changes. Javonte Pittman, Amon, Shakir, Watson, McConkey. Should I trade for a wide receiver? As long as you is it Chase? Chase, Pittman, Amon Ra. No, I think you're okay. I mean, the problem is you're gonna have to suffer value somewhere else. You're really thin at running back, and I don't know how much value you have in terms of those bench wide receivers. Like you can't trade Amon Ra, Pittman, or Chase if that is Chase. And like Watson's value, perceived value just went down. Oh, it's A chain. Well, even then you don't have great depth at running back because Brooks is. I just sit for now.
They do not have a third string quarterback, it looks
Yeah,
like.
that's what I was thinking. They didn't go into the season with the third on their final roster.
Yeah, they carry 2, and Sean Clifford is on their practice squad. So they let Mike
because I think they cut the other guy or put him on
yeah. He didn't even make the practice squad. Somebody must have
that's
picked
right.
him up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not good. Things are bad. Here comes
they're gonna have to
call it. Here comes Tom Brady. Tom Brady's
I'm actually before we end here, free agent quarterbacks. Who is out there? I'm genuinely curious. I got it pulled up here. Ryan Tannehill.
Brian Hoyer.
Mike White, Brian Hoyer.
They could trade for Russell Wilson.
I guess you're right. Because this is literally the whole list. Tannehill, Mike White, Brian Hoyer, Blaine Gabbert, AJ McCarron, Matt Barkley, Trevor Siemian, Nathan Peterman, Logan Woodside, and Ben DiNucci.
The Nooch.
Yeah.
That's not the worst guy to put in there.
I feel like they're gonna sign Mike White. That's my prediction.
Does anybody have anybody got experience with Green Bay or something?
They're gonna have to sign someone. And I mean, it's Tannehill or Mike White. Like I feel like Tannehill will demand more money. And they just paid Jordan Love $1 bazillion.
AJ McCarron.
Maybe.
Brian Hoyer. I don't know. Blaine Gabbert.
Yeah. I feel like Mike White. The return of Mike White. I don't know. Call Cam Newton.
Oh, stop.
Yeah, dude. Mike White's our guest, boys. We're on the Mike White. Go pick up Mike White in your dynasty leagues.
I'm going with Trevor Siemian, sleeper.
Maybe. There's no way Tom Brady is coming out of retirement.
I know Brady is coming out of retirement if it's week 13 and it's a Super Bowl team. The Packers are not a Super Bowl team, especially at the offensive line. Like if if Jared Goff goes down, Tom Brady gets a call, he could easily be the Lions quarterback for the last 6 weeks.
Tough. Kurt, he doesn't want to play football anymore. He's making 6 figures doing YouTube and Sleeper. And
playing Madden.
Yeah. I will say, I've been a Kurt, can't say his name, fan for a really long time. I remember when his YouTube channel was like not Madden, and just a super small channel, and he was just on Tom Grossi's show and That's Good Sports as a guest. So kudos to him for absolutely blowing up. And if you see this, just sign us or something.
Yeah, give us some love, bro. Because he was. It does show his show is perfect for the average folk. He was a terrible quarterback. He was bad. He's not a guy, and his his knowledge of football exceeds pretty much every person who watches football to the exponential degree. It's a good reality check for some of them guys out there on the couch.
Yeah. You think Brock Bowers has potential to finish the top 6 to 8? Nah, man. Probably
8. Yeah, I can see 8. 8. Yeah, I can see 8.
8 is fair if they give him enough of that work towards the goal line. But you just got to think. I mean, you got Kelsey, Laporta, Andrews. So some people.
I'm not on Andrews and I'm not on Kelsey. Kelsey and Andrews questionable right now. One guy gets hurt.
You got Isaiah Likely, Sam Laporta, Trey McBride.
Isaiah Likely's gonna die again. Like his collarbone. Like I'm worried about that. We got Laporta, we got Trey McBride, and we got Kittle. That's about as reliable
Kincaid.
as I can go right now. Yeah, Kincaid maybe. I don't know. I
Ingram.
gotta see it. Do we
Ingram
try?
definitely up there.
Jacksonville. We don't know. We hope we're on the
Pitt,
Jacksonville train again. I'm never investing in Pitts ever. Pitts might have a great season. I'm
Ferguson,
not investing in him. I don't know. Cowboy.
Njoku.
No, definitely not Njoku with Deshaun Watson. If Joe Flacco is the quarterback, absolutely. Deshaun Watson, no shot. I think Deshaun is washed. He's cooked.
Taysom Hill.
No, stop. We're deleting the channel if Taysom Hill leads the league in tight ends. Okay. Stop.
Believe it or not, Hill was the tight end 7 in standard last year.
This is why
tight end
fantasy
12
is stupid.
in PPR.
Did he play quarterback for a game or something last year? I can't even remember. Probably.
Yeah,
he ran a couple. Yeah.
He had a double-digit stretch 4 weeks in a row, 6 through 9. Then 2 more double-digit performances, and then a ton of
I hate the Saints just so much.
I do recall you not liking the Saints.
God, so stupid.
So yeah, I guess Bowers
8's doable.
Potentially
Bowers 8 doable.
You think I should drop him for Likely? No, you spent too much draft capital, but you got to drop someone else. You
definitely have a bad quarterback or running back or wide receiver on that team.
All right. I think I tried to end the stream like 15 minutes ago.
Fine. We're at an hour, or it's okay.
Yeah. No Taysom Hill slander.
Slander. He's the most overrated player ever. He doesn't do anything. He shows up in like 1 game or 2 games. He doesn't do anything. He doesn't have a position. It really makes me mad. Play football.
I do kind of like him against the Panthers this week. If you need to go deep.
How old is Taysom Hill? Like 50 years old? 60? He's old. He's super old. Because he's a BYU guy.
He's 34.
He's like, that's ancient. Oh my God.
34.
Put him at quarterback. Just play a quarterback.
Elias says Josh Allen says he can drop Goff. That's fine. Yeah. I mean, I'm not discrediting Goff. I think he's gonna have a great week 1, but
try and trade Goff. Could you try and trade Goff? You have to also lose. Like you're not getting Isaiah Likely if you don't lose this week. He's gonna be a top waiver claim.
Yeah, if you're in a free agent bidding league, like people are gonna drop like 70. It depends on their tight end 1, but people are gonna drop 50, 60, 70% of their fab this week for sure.
You should if you need a tight end.
Yeah. Like the best things I'm seeing are people who own Andrews like trying to trade for Likely. I mean,
I did not no Andrew shares this year.
I was really low on Andrews too. But I just also those top tier tight ends I don't draft. Like I'm a Ingram Ferguson guy.
I drafted 1 top tier tight end consistently. It was McBride. I think McBride is the only top tier tight end I consistently drafted in the real leagues. I had Laporta a ton in the mocks because he would fall, but consistently in my actual leagues I'm stuck in. McBride was the only high tight end. I have a lot of Ferguson. We have a lot of Ferguson. I have a couple Ingram shares. I have a Luke Musgrave share in my guillotine league because it's 16 teams.
Yeah, I talked about him. I mean, he had the 2 targets, but then we saw Tucker Kraft actually 3 targets. Like I'm very concerned about those Musgrave shares on Underdog.
I'm fine though, because that was like I think my Musgrave share is in my guillotine league, and I had Saquon. I had AJ Brown in that league, and AJ Brown had a very nice night, so I'm not going to get probably cut this week, and I can pick up a new tight end.
Tough. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we will be back tomorrow night. Tomorrow night will be a much longer stream. I'm just planning on like eating dinner, going to the gym tomorrow night, being super hyped up, and then streaming for like
6 hours.
As long as I can go, I will stream tomorrow night, and then I'll be up Sunday morning.
10 to 2, and then we're gonna kick off at 8 a.m. on Sunday morning.
I have done it before. Don't tempt me. So
no, I will not tempt you. At a good time.
We'll have content coming out Sunday as well, but I will be on Sunday morning before kickoff, and so anything you guys need, don't panic yet. We got plenty of times to set those week 1 lineups. Have 2 videos coming out for you guys tomorrow, and we'll get you guys ready. Week 1 already here, but going to continue to be here through Sunday and Monday. If you want, I know you want to end, but how high do you think Kincaid can finish top 5 if the targets truly all go to him? Hit the like. Oh, you'll be stuck with the Packers D for the rest of the season. Thank you for that, Ghost Hunter. With Love in the coffin, would you rather pick up Stafford, Watson, T-Law, Tua, or Cousins? Tua, Stafford,
T-Law in that order.
Yeah. I like Tua or Stafford week 1. It's really those 2 guys for me, but then T-Law, Cousins, fine. Yeah.
T-Law is good long term, I think, for the season if we're in on the Jags. But
I'm really okay with Tua here. I think he should be the most sought after player. But you have lots of good options if these are the guys in your league, so don't panic. So yeah, but Watson, not the guy for me here. All right, guys, hit the like. Check out all the videos. We've got everything you need for week 1 live on the channel. And we'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Everyone pray for Jordan Love. And with that, I'll say thank you guys so much for watching and or listening. And remember, Yazad here on the catch. And